Welcome to this Lyric That Truth podcast, and excited to have Dan Bremnes with us in the studio today. Welcome.
Thank you.
I know you've had a busy morning, so thanks for taking time to chat with us over here. The podcast is called This Lyric That Truth, and the idea is that people that I talk to will sometimes talk about a lyric that has just lit up their soul in a special way.
Mhm.
And I always love it when I get to talk to an artist who has a hand in writing the lyrics that inspire people. And so I'd love for you to introduce yourself, Dan, and tell us a little bit about how you got started writing and performing Christian music. And then I have some text messages actually from people that have been really impacted by your songs. So
Okay.
welcome.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's great to be here. I got started in music when I think I got interested when I was about 5 years old, but drums was the first instrument I learned to play. And I love playing drums. I never thought I would sing, but I played drums for a bunch of different artists, traveled around the world. And by the time I was about 20, and did some backup vocals for some people, but mainly it was just drums. And I was writing my own music. It was punk rock music at the time. And I was in high school. And through my 20s, I went and I did a program called YWAM, which stands for Youth with a Mission. And something changed in me on that trip. And that's when I started writing music that was more spiritual and that was about God, and it was about my life and my relationship with God. And just like I kind of changed, so the music kind of changed. And that's when I started I guess recording more of that sort of music. And I was always very insecure. I didn't think I had a good voice. I didn't think I could sing. I listened to a lot of lies in my own head. But my mom, who had passed away, she was one of the people that said, hey, I think that you can sing, and I think that you're gonna sing. And I didn't believe her. But that was sort of, part of I think the legacy of her. I really wanted to. And so I kind of faced those fears and those insecurities, and I started recording and singing. And long story short, that's how we're sitting here today.
Tell me about that moment at YWAM when everything changed for you. Did you feel like your life was over, or did you feel like it was just beginning in a way?
Well, I think what it was, my leader, he kept asking me to lead worship. I was like, why is this guy asking me to lead worship? I'm not a worship leader. There's so many other talented people here. I wonder
I'm
what.
a punk rocker,
Yeah,
after
exactly.
all.
Exactly. I think it was more of just a change of motivation. I think up until that time, I saw like the rock star appeal. It's like,
Sure.
I want to be important. I want people to, tell me I'm incredible and sing my songs. And like, I kind of saw it from that angle. And then it became different, more like, oh, this is something that this is a different invitation. It's not a rock star invitation so much. Uh, Maybe a little bit of a surrender, yes, but I've had this moment a few times in my life where I'm like, I don't know if I'm like a want, like there's a part of all the wrong parts of me don't want to do this, if that makes sense, right? The right parts of me do want to do this. And I think that is the human question every day. Like the wrong parts of me want to think this, do this, say this. The right parts of me are begging to go this way. And that was sort of the crossroads. Yeah.
As your music has, I would say, grown in popularity or played on more radio stations, you're actually doing a concert with us tonight. That this episode will release later than that. But how do you maintain a humility then in singing for God with all these people singing your lyrics, clapping along, and giving you that feedback? How do you stay humble?
Well, I would say God has had his own way of keeping me humble.
It's good like that.
Yeah, I think God has his finger on me, and it's just through circumstances that happen outside of this. I remember one time I think I was in New Orleans, and I did this amazing, incredible event with a station there. It was a listener event, and I just felt like 10 out of 10. I was like, man, I am like, God really used me today. I'm like, I might be his favorite. Not really.
Well, yeah, I
But
know what you're
I
saying.
felt
Yeah,
like
yeah,
incredible, right?
yeah. You
And
nailed it.
I remember I got to the airport and this one lady like just brought me right back down to earth. I forgot to put a bin somewhere or something, and she was super rude to me. And it was just a good like leveling out. I was like, no, you're not invincible. You know, you're like you're a human being. So things happen to me like that all the time where I promise you this, I have no problem with God keeping me human and humble.
I had a moment yesterday when I was walking my dog, and the leash didn't clip properly, and so someone else was walking their dog, and my dog went after their dog, not in
Right.
an aggressive way, but like, oh, it's playtime, and this lady was so angry at me, and she said, Zealand has leash laws. And I was shaking. I was so mad. And I was holding up the leash. And I said, I had her on. I screamed at this lady in the street. I came home and I told my husband, I said, I can't treat people like that. Like I just can't lose it like that. That's
Right.
not how I believe we should act. It's not how I should be
Yeah.
treating people. And
It's humbling.
I got to go hunt that lady down too.
You're gonna hunt her down?
I'm
I'm
going to
kidding.
watch her for her walking her dog so I can apologize. Because,
Exactly.
but what you're saying is like, you would hear me on the radio or on this podcast, and I'm such a lovely person, right? Talking about Jesus all day long, but I did not act like Jesus in that moment at all.
Right. And those are great moments, but they're hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to admit I was wrong. I was in the wrong here, and that was humbling. And so we keep going.
That takes a lot of responsibility.
Oh, it sure does. Well, I was listening, actually, you were talking this morning with our morning show, Tommy and Brooke, and there were some people that were texting in some of the ways that you have impacted them through a lyric in your song.
Sure.
One of them is super tender, right? It might be a little hard for me to get through, but she said that I wanted Dan to know that after I lost my daughter, I was driving to work and I was crying and I was blaming God, and I was needing to know if my daughter was comforted while she died, if God was there with her, if she was in heaven. And his song, Hold You Tight, came on the radio at that very moment. I was asking God if he had my daughter. That's all I needed to know. And it was such a comfort.
It's amazing.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. Yeah. Because I've had those same moments where it just felt like not coincidence. A song came on, or, something happened. And and to be a part of that in some way, it's very encouraging, because there are days for sure, I think, where every artist I know feels like, I don't know if this is going anywhere. I don't know if this is connecting. So
you really go through that. You really feel that way?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And other people that you encounter feel that way too?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's easy for, I think it's just easy for our mind to trick us, or, the discouragement, the enemy. What are those voices saying to us all the time, right? They want to get to us. So I think it's easy. Yeah. I know that I'm not the only artist that has struggled with that. So, and I think that's right. That's the game, trying to knock down, if you're doing something and you're feeling all this resistance, this attack, it's a pretty good sign that you're probably doing the right thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where does, you talked about being punk rock, YWAM, God kind of calling you into a new space.
Yeah.
In singing and worshipful music. I'm not saying you're a worship leader, but worshipful music. What place do you write from and perform from? Where do lyrics like that come from?
So, yeah, good question. In this stage, like when I was younger, I used to write differently. I had a lot of time and I just sit down whenever. Now life is busier, so I use my phone a lot I'll like shout ideas into it or type down things in my notes, and then I'll bring that into a recording session or like a writing session. And that little idea will be like the seed for a song. And so for the one song we played in there, Hold You Tight took, I'm trying to remember how that song came together. Actually, I wrote that one in a day. I had opened my notes that morning. I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to write today. I did not feel great. I was tired, and I opened my notes and it said, "Don't you worry," and I was like, okay. So I sat down. I was like, "Don't you worry tonight," and it kind of turned into this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like pulling on the string. And then other songs, like another one we talked about was "Call Your Name," and
Yeah.
that song took 5 different sessions, 5 different days for us to write that, to figure out, okay, how do we tell this story in a way that's honest and meaningful? And yeah, so that one came out differently, right? So it can,
Tell me about the song "Call Your Name." It might be maybe because it's what we're currently
yeah.
playing right now
Hmm.
that we're familiar with it. So, what did you want to communicate in that?
So I wanted to, I wanted, I think I really wanted people to see their story in mine, like as much of it as they could without it, you know. I think I wanted people to realize, like, okay, maybe I'm not perfect. Maybe I don't go to church every Sunday. Maybe I go through seasons where I don't believe in God. Maybe I'm dealing with pain. Um, and maybe I don't even talk to God much. And I wanted those people to feel like God's still got you, right? There's a story that's unfolding here, and it's powerful, and not all of us can have a direct line to God every day and feel like we're doing a great job. Because I think a lot of people, they feel the grind, they feel the questions, they feel the uncertainty, and they
Mm-hmm.
feel like they feel guilty. They feel like I'm not a good enough Christian, you know. And I wanted people to feel like you're fine. You're on a journey.
Have you sensed there is a shift in Christian radio from songs having all the answers to sitting with people in the questions?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. Because the Bible is full of stories of people that had to sit in their questions.
Yeah.
Moses
Yeah.
killed somebody, messed up his quote unquote plan for his life, right? He took it into his own hands, killed a guy, had to run, and waited and sat with those questions in the desert for how many years, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time. Joseph had this dream. He was going to do all these things for God. People were going to bow down. He was going to be like this incredible leader. The next day, sold into slavery. How long did Joseph sit waiting? What, 15, 17 years in prison by himself?
Mm-hmm.
No Christian radio there. But if there was, right? I think I would just finish reading a book about waiting. And I think to be Christian, or to have faith, is to wait. I think it's actually sort of it. Hebrews
Mm-hmm.
11 talks about what faith is. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, but not yet seen.
Mm-hmm.
Our invitation, faith, like literally the definition, is to sit in those uncomfortable seasons, sometimes without answers.
Hmm. I have another message for you. And this is Kathy. She said, I have to tell you that Monday I got a phone call from my 20-year-old and needed me to pick her up. She and her husband had just been in an accident. She hit a semi, and that's all I heard. I left work to get them, and she was told by police that a few inches further and we'd have a different outcome. They are home recovering, and we're counting our blessings. And they actually wanted to let you know they're going to be at your concert tonight,
Oh, amazing.
just after a really tough, hard week, so they can just exhale,
Yeah.
worship along with you.
Wow.
I mean, what an impact, right?
That's amazing.
Meeting people in some of their toughest weeks, their darkest times, whether they're coming in person to hear you or tuning into Christian radio to hear you. Do you feel the weight of that? I don't know. I wouldn't call it a responsibility, but when you're in those writing sessions, knowing that you're going to encounter people at their lowest points.
Yeah, I do feel the weight of that for sure. Yeah, because I've been there too. But I guess I can't think about it too much, because
Yeah.
I know that, like, again, like, it's like this, we kind of just throw, like, like gardeners, throwing the seed.
Mm-hmm.
I find that, like, if I overthink it too much, I probably
Mm,
I'm not much good. But I have seen God use some of these songs that I didn't think, and some of these lines in these songs, right? It's almost when we're not paying attention,
yeah.
it's like God's like, all right, I'm gonna just do something here.
I feel that way sometimes too, just in chatting with people on the radio, kind of like your moment when you had a 10 out of 10. I was like, oh yeah, that, conversation was a 10 out of 10. But that isn't what impacts people. It's something else that he uses entirely.
Right.
Right. And so I don't have to control that. The Holy Spirit can work and use whatever he wants.
Yeah. You just be you.
You just be
Everyone
you.
just be themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's something to that. It's interesting. Yeah, it's not in our strength, it's in our weakness, right?
Is there new stuff you're working on you're excited about?
Yeah, actually I was just in Sweden, and long story of how I got there, but to make it short, I had to finish the album up, and the producer lived there and couldn't make it to America. So
You went to him.
we went to him, and the album is called The Hero and the Villain, and I'm finishing it. I just released the first part of it called The Hero a few months ago, and was it a few months ago? I don't know. It was recent. The Villain comes out in October, and the full album, The Hero and the Villain, comes out in January.
Okay.
So I'm really, really proud of it. Yeah, and excited to share a lot of new songs.
Can you tell us a little bit about the hero and the villain, or is it going to be a surprise when your album
No,
releases?
you mean the song or the
Yeah.
concept?
Yeah, the concept.
The concept is just this idea of that there's two sides of us, right? There is um, the hero, which is who we wish we were,
Mm,
who we try to be,
hmm
who we show the world that we are. It's like our best effort at being the best us. And then there's who we really are.
The walking the dog on the street.
Right. Sure. It's who we are when nobody's watching. It's who we are when we're around our family. It's who we are when we're
Mm,
not putting on a show, when we're not
hmm
putting on the cape, right?
hmm
And the Bible has actually called us to love that villain, and to like give, like, that is who needs to be saved. We don't come to God and like, look at all the good. No, it's like God's like, there's so much in the Bible about this. Like, God wants the villain, right? He wants to work with the villain inside of us, and that's where it's like that. This whole idea of that all have sinned, right, and
Yeah.
fallen short. No matter how hard we try to put on that cape and be the hero, inevitably sometimes we're the villain. But I think it's both, and I think it's hard. I think it's tug of war, and I think we're in this battle, right? We're in the middle of a battle with ourselves, and it's a spiritual battle that we're a part of.
hmm
And it's this thing where some days it's like, man, I really
Yeah.
did great, and some days
Yeah.
it's like, man, I I am I'm the villain in my life.
That's really connecting with me. I mean, I mentioned the story about the dog, but it was kind of like the culmination of a bunch of crabby moments.
Yeah.
And crabby is really an understatement.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't been great to my family. I haven't been kind to strangers. And I know it, right? And
Yeah.
I just want it to go away. I just want to wake up the next day and just, be the hero again.
Right.
But I had this thought today. I'm like, I should really sit down and actually pray about this because it's not resolving
Mm-hmm.
on its own. And so I really appreciate that it's something that you're addressing through music because
Mm.
we all have weeks like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's seasons,
Yeah.
sometimes years, right? And I think that discomfort, sitting in that discomfort and not putting the cape back on again, I think
Mm,
is kind of part of the invitation.
mm,
There's an old
mm.
parable, Jewish parable, where it talks about a boy who left their it's early, so my brain isn't firing on all cylinders, but left their village, so to speak, um, and his what do you call it? What is a Jewish teacher? What are they called again?
Rabbi.
Rabbi. His rabbi.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, my brain.
It's okay.
The rabbi's like, okay, so like you're going out, and hopefully you learn something new, and the student comes back and he says, well, what did you learn at this other little town? And he's like, well, did you learn anything new? He's like, well, yeah, they over there they taught me how to love my enemy. And he said, but we teach you that here too. We teach you how to love your enemy. So what was the difference? What did they teach
Mm.
you differently? He said, well, over there they taught me how to love the enemy inside of myself. And I just think there's a lot in scripture if we really peel back the layers. Um, about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. And what does that actually mean? What does that look
Mm,
like? It means sitting with that uncomfortable
mhm,
part of that each one of us has it and say, God,
mhm,
like, I've done my best. I think the point is to reach exhaustion and say, like,
mm,
I have done my best. This is what I need you to save. This is
mm,
what I need help with because I can't do it. To me, that's what the gospel is.
mm.
We can't.
Do you have a favorite lyric from that new album that you could sing a little bit? I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have to be professional,
yeah.
like with all the drums and stuff, but just sometimes those are just beautiful, you know?
Sure. I mean, you want me to sing a
Yeah,
cappella?
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
well,
you don't have to, but
so
I just love hearing the raw.
I can sing you the chorus of that
Yeah,
song. It
please.
goes like this. Hopefully I have the right key. I'm trying to love myself, but there's a war inside of me. I want to cry for help, but I'm my own worst enemy. Don't want to fight myself, so bad for my health. I just want to be free, but there's a hero and a villain living inside of me.
Whew. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for writing music that connects with what so many of us are going through, for
yeah.
sharing your talent. I'm so glad you had a mom that proclaimed truth over your life,
Mm,
because honestly, had you listened to your own thoughts
mm,
and the own way that you felt about yourself, and you didn't walk into it maybe because you were afraid or weren't perfect at it yet, but
yeah,
you had a mom who spoke truth,
you're right.
and
You're right.
that she could see something you couldn't see,
Mm,
and God's using you in a powerful way.
mm. Thank you.
Thanks for taking time to talk with us today.
Of course.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of This Lyric, That Truth. If you were inspired by today's conversation, feel free to share it with a friend and leave a 5-star review. If you're looking for more hope and encouragement in your music, download the Joy Media mobile app for free wherever you download your apps. I'm Ceci, and I so look forward to sharing more in-depth conversations with you as we talk about the lyrics that encourage us and shape our lives. Meet me back here next week for another episode of This Lyric, That Truth.